Okay, here on Get Ready to Rock, we're at the Hammerfest, and got the honour of meeting the artist, Rodney Matthews. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you very much, sir.
Great. And, I must remind people some of the artwork you've done over the years. You've done artwork for bands like Magnum, Eloy, Tigers of Pangtang, Flame Madness.
Yeah.
The list is endless.
You've got
Name some others.
better memory than me, yeah. Scorpions, Parker James, Harvest, Rick Wakeman. I've done quite a lot of Christian stuff for thrash metal bands, Detritus, Seventh Angel, Stairway, so forth. Can't remember them all, to be honest.
And so, tell us about your early days. What made you go for this style of art?
Boredom, I think. I used to work in an advertising agency, and working on stuff like co-op window bills and pretty poly stockings and Dunlop tyres, an immeasurably boring affair. But I was getting paid properly, and I thought I must leave it, because I played in a band at that time, and I was in Bristol, and I'd play in some place like Liverpool, for example, and come back late into Bristol and nod off at the drawing board in the day, and the boss didn't like that too much. And so I thought, to be fair to them, and in order to sort of break out into something a bit more original, I thought, I'm going to leave this place, but I'm getting paid decently, so I need a sign. And then one day the boss came in carrying this box, and in it was this commode. And as was his custom, he'd come into the studio in the morning, and he'd look down the room to see who was idle, and if you were asking about, then you got a job given you. And he said, Matthews, I've got just the job for you. I want you to do something with this commode. I thought, shit, that is my sign.
Exactly.
There's my sign. And I left, and I was friendly with a bloke who played bass guitar in a band called East of Eden, local band, Terry Brace. And he used to get me these jobs for university gigs, the sort of embryonic versions of, I suppose, just post-psychedelia, but, the sort of prog stuff that was coming along at that time. Stuff like Thin Lizzy and well, not that they were prog, but, a lot of those bands. We ran the Granary Club in Bristol between us. And my band used to get to play support to all these bands, but I also at the same time got a lot of inquiries about posters for gigs. Yeah. And I thought, well, this is what I really should be doing. And my first album cover was a Thin Lizzy EP called New Day. And then we went on to do jointly between we had a partnership called Plastic Dog Graphics in Bristol. And we started doing stuff for Sonic Records in London and Transatlantic and MCA, and it went on from there. Yeah. Really. That was how I got into it. First of all, it's my own personal music connections. Yeah. I went out playing with bands. I supported a lot of these bands that went on to become quite well known.
Like rock music, especially in the 70s, is quite mythical, really. Does the album titles inspire your work, or does your work inspire the artist's work, if you know what I mean? Hand in hand?
Well, yes. I mean, there's no golden rule. Sometimes a band would give me a demo tape and say, we've had, like Tigers of Pangtang, they gave me their Spellbound, was it?
Crazy Nights album. Well, yeah,
Spellbound was the first one. They gave me that, and they said, this is what we play. The next one's called Crazy Nights, give us an idea. And I gave them about 4 or 5 alternative. I sketch out ideas to a standard where they can see what they're going to get, and they usually choose. And sometimes I make the mistake of showing them something I don't like, and that's always the one they choose. Sort of Sod's Law thing, which happened with Asia. Aqua. It's like a whale-shaped machine in space with dolphins flying. It's all very cosmic stuff, and I did a lot of sketches of other things that I felt did the job better, and they chose the bum version.
Well, you say about Tigers of Pang Tang Crazy Nights, that's one of the very first albums I ever bought, actually, and to me it's such a fantastic album cover. So you've got the tiger climbing up the post office tower in London, against an orange backdrop, viewing Tiger off airplanes. It's a striking cover, it really is.
Well, yeah, one of the original pencil sketches for that was something I'd regurgitated from years before, and it was like Nelson's column with a big chameleon thing on the top, and it had its tongue was shooting out and grabbing these like city gents off these flying saucers. They were like, Dan Dare, the Mekong, they were sitting there with a bowl of hats on, completely oblivious to what is going on, like they still are actually, in their newspapers, reading the Times and flying around, and this thing was zapping them with his tongue. And I thought that was a better one, but they went for the post office.
The one called the Chameleon of Pang Tang. And so it's about another band you've been heavily involved with. You've done quite a few of their album covers. Is Magnum.
Magnum, yeah. That came about as a result of reading one of the music press. I think it was NME or something like that. And there was an article written by Tony Clark, and he's the bloke who writes all their lyrics and he is Magnum, really.
Yeah.
And it sort of asked him about his worldview and what the lyrics are all about. A lot of them was protests against war and all the usual things that most sane people don't like. I thought, I like this bloke's worldview. He sounds like a nice sort of. I could work with somebody like that. So I this was the days of letter writing and phone calls, and I got in touch. Found out where I could get hold of him, and as it happened, they were like everybody else at the time, Michael Moorcock fans. Yeah. I sent them some of my Moorcock stuff, and they said, Tony Clark had said, we'll go for this, and they were with, I think, Jet Records at the time. And the first one was called hang on.
But the first time you did with them was Chase the Dragon, I believe.
Chase the Dragon. You know more about this than me. Chase the Dragon. And that had interestingly enough, was supposed to be a gatefold. And Chase the Dragon has got this city in the desert. Yeah. And this there's another one that should accompany it called what's that called? Sanctuary. And this is influenced by the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Yeah. It's like for the sake of writing it down, this is like the bridge to a spiritual place where we all want to be, where everything is where we all get free Lamborghinis and stuff. It was meant that the front cover had this city in the desert, and then what had happened, there had been an enormous time lapse thing, an erosion, and it had blown all the desert and all that existing world away to come to this world where it was like a fallen world, where to get to the place of peace, it was difficult. You had to go along a narrow causeway across this chasm. Hence the Clifton Suspension Bridge, where I used to walk my dog. And I'm walking the dog one day and I look at the bridge and thinking, it's a crossover thing. Typical. It happens in a lot of my work. It's a crossover bridge thing. It's very prominent. And this bridge was supposed to make up the inside of a gatefold. And Jet Records, being tight-fisted, decided no, we're just
single album cover.
And so they had Chase the Dragon, and this got left over, so I did a poster of it.
Oh, so you did it, kind of.
Yeah, and that was the only one that I've ever had full control over, because Tony Clark on the 11th hour, the next one, met me in a pub, the typical beer mat and biro, and he said, I want something like this. And I've said this before, Tony can't draw when he's got a hole in his ass, but
he's got the ideas.
He's got the ideas, and he's very good at articulating what he wants, down to quite fine detail. But the only thing is, a little cash register next to me, and he said, I want a pair of slippers under the bed. Right, that's another 10 quid. But there's a limited budget. There always is with this stuff.
I'd say you've done quite a few of their albums. Anyway, I'd say Chess Dragon, 11th Hour, Mirror Daughter compilation, On a Story Tell Us Night, which is like one of your famous pieces of work, really.
That is probably the most well known. And I think with with Magnum, they've also bought some Second Right stuff. So I think there's about 12 or more, probably more than 12
quite a few,
albums with my input on in some way or another, even a bit of lettering.
Because I say you are one of the most well-known artists in the rock field, like you, Roger Dean, Derek Riggs does the Iron Maiden album covers. You know, you are up there. And there's so many albums you've done, like Nazareth, No Mean City album, which is a massive seller in the 70s.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest selling album that your artist featured on?
No Mean City is actually very instantly recognisable. I don't know whether it's what other people think. I get more input. Over the years, I've had a lot of people use it on custom trucks and cars and bikes, particularly in America and USA.
Yeah.
So that is probably, visually speaking, the one that I'm remembered for. It also goes back a long time, you know. But the Storyteller's Night is probably, I'm best known for that. I don't know what the best-selling ones mean. I mean,
what's it like your favourite piece of work personally?
My favourite piece.
And has it been used or not?
Well, it changes, you know. That one there, Heavy Metal Hero.
And that was used on a Diamond Head compilation, I believe.
That's right. But have you ever seen the original?
It's like a big train, yeah.
Yeah, the original art is very big, you know, 30 by 40 inches. And there's a lot of detail in it. And it was commissioned by Bob Moon over there, who has commissioned a lot of posters and stuff from me. But I wanted this to be very accurate. It's a fantasy piece.
Yeah.
It's obviously a fantasy train. It looks like, you know, menacing.
It's quite menacing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But my understanding of good fantasy art is it has to be anchored down to reality.
Yeah.
Because if you get too abstract, then you lose people's attention.
That's very true, actually, yeah.
And so they think, well, that's a train. I know what a train's like, but what a size.
Yeah.
You know,
the size of it, yeah.
And so to make it more realistic and believable, I had a friend who was an engineer and he used to work in America on the restoration jobs on big American trains. You know, these things that pull coal up across the Rockies, two big trains with a cow catcher. And he gave me a lot of photographs, and so everything on there, you know, even the burn marks on the side, you know, and the way the wheels, the pistons work and everything, that is all an actual train, or derived from an actual train. It does
strike a lot of imagery, and it could be like a ghost train or prison train, you know.
Yeah.
It keeps the mind baffling all day long. It's a fantastic piece of work. It really
I
is.
just add my style to it, like, you know, the spikes and the flame and everything.
Well, Rodney, it's been fantastic talking to you. I can sit here and talk to you all day. And you're still working, aren't you? So any bands out there?
Still alive and working.
Yeah, you're still alive. And check Rodney out. And, well, you can't get a better piece of artwork for an album cover, so he's the man to see. Rodney, fantastic talking to you. All the best.
Thank you.